we'd like to acknowledge the first peoples of this land, which are the Gabrielina Tongva, and we honor their ancestors, and we come together and bless this podcast. We invite the ancestors to be here with us, and we know that everything's going to flow and be perfect. Aho and amen.
Aho, amen.
Aho, amen.
Amen.
Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you for inviting us.
Can you guys introduce yourselves?
Okay, I'll start because I'm the elder. I'm Jennie Estrada, also known as Sister Weeping Willow.
And my name is Cynthia Ruiz, and my Cherokee name is Lion Mother.
Oh, yo soy Yaqui.
Yay! And then we have Jesse here too.
Yo soy aquí as well.
Yay.
Fabulous.
Okay, first question. How did you guys meet?
So what I like to say is that we met through divine intervention by the ancestors. But she'll tell you the real story.
We met on a court. No, I worked in a beauty shop, and I'm a Kindle person, and I would sit and read my Kindle because I love it, right? And she asked one of the girls, "What does that lady do besides read Kindles?" And she does. She's the esthetician here, and so one day she made an appointment, and she became my client, and she became my friend. But first, she kind of scared me. Well, not scared me, but she said, "You're a healer, aren't you?" And I said, "No." I did. And from that point on, we became very dear friends.
Why did you tell her that you weren't a healer?
I never told anybody I was because I didn't fully, I embraced it, but I don't normally tell people I am. You know, I think it should happen through your reputation.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many charlatans around that say, you know, they're this and they're that, and they're just, can we cuss?
Yeah.
Okay.
I encourage it.
All right, because, you know, they'll cut me off. Anyways, and they're bullshit. And that
Right.
bothers me because so many people, that's their first step to they think they're going to a spiritual journey, and
Right.
sometimes they're being fleeced.
Right. Actually, we can jump into that.
Good.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because I left you guys some questions about just kind of like the BS of
Mhm.
like healing and like we can start with the rituals and like the medicine that's being a little bit exploited
Mm-hmm.
and being sold to people.
Oh, well, I'll just start real fast and she'll
Yeah.
jump in. We went to El Sereno, 90032.
Mhm.
So we had gone to some kind of a spiritual thing. There was a bunch of people there, and there was these three women. It was a panel of people. I think there was maybe five. There was three women and there was two men. And so, and most of the crowd there was Latino.
Mm-hmm.
So these three women, I just had a bad feeling about them. And I go, let's sit in the front row because I can tell then, you know, so I could say, I just thought, man, these ladies aren't for real. So the first thing she says, we can cure diabetes and cancer.
Oh my
And I
God.
said, oh shit. I was like, no. And just Cynthia goes, oh yeah, they're just so then
Oh no.
yeah, and then they were giving me like a really hard look because they knew I could read them. I was so angry. Why do you do that? Why do you do that to our people?
Right.
And everybody was like, yeah, I have diabetes, you know, help me. And
Oh,
and you know, and then she wanted to give them ayahuasca, and I was like, oh my God, these people they're just eating this up because people just want to cure.
Right.
You know, how dare they do that? And I was so goddamn mad. And then, so that was my story on it. So go ahead, Cynthia, I'm sorry.
So first of all, I have to look at what are healers.
Right.
And so there's many different words that they call healers.
Right.
Shamans, medicine women, medicine men and women. And so, you know, for me, healers are something that's generational. It's
Right.
passed down by generation. Like if you're a shaman or a healer, or medicine woman, you don't come in and say, I'm a shaman.
Right.
Like Jennie's a shaman, but she will never tell you that because it's something that people, it's like an honor that you wear.
Right.
And like she's 6th generation healer.
Mm-hmm.
And so what's happening now, I was actually on this radio show and I was with this woman that she's like, oh, I'm a shaman. So I said, really, tell me about that. And she was a white woman. And she says, oh, well, I took a workshop, in Sedona and now I'm a shaman.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, don't work like that. And so it irritates me because this is sacred stuff. And when they exploit it for monetary gain, it's one of the issues I have. And I see that a lot with plant medicine.
Right.
We know ayahuasca is really popular.
Yes.
But ayahuasca is a tool that medicine people use.
Yeah.
So ayahuasca in and of itself is good, but it's not a recreational drug.
Right.
And so many people think it's, I'm going to take ayahuasca and I'm going to, see God and everything's going to be great.
Right.
But it's the exploitation of the sacred spirituality is really gets under my skin.
Yeah.
However, I think that, there's a lot behind it. This is generational stuff. And this is stuff that's passed, the ways are passed from generation to generation. And then even if you have it in your blood, you still have to study. You have to become an apprentice. This stuff takes years to learn.
Right.
And there's so many layers. Like healers, you can be somebody that specializes in plant medicine. You can have a healer that specializes in energy work. Jennie's also a Reiki master.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of different healing modalities. And so both of us really get upset when people exploit the sacredness of what's being done between the shamans and the medicine people or the curanderas, whatever term you want to use.
Right. I've never heard of curandera.
We went to school for like Harry Potter people.
What? Tell me more.
We went to the University of New Mexico to learn spiritual stuff, and it was quite interesting. And they had people from all over the Americas there teaching different classes. I personally have taken many classes, and my medicine is Reiki, and I have hot hands. So,
can you explain a little bit what Reiki is?
Reiki is you can move energy. Sometimes when people come to me, we have chakras, and when you're not in tune, you're not in balance, your chakras are blocked. And I have to go in there and unblock them, because if you don't, then you're chueco.
Yeah.
Right,
like Jesse.
Your energy's off.
Yeah. It's like, okay. So
it's interesting because we were just talking about that in the car, how he feels a little off. So
well,
there's a lot of changes happening.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was telling her that we just moved.
Oh, yeah.
And even though it's not far, it's far because you got to move the stuff from one place to another, right?
Yeah.
It's a transition.
Yeah.
And so
It's been
quantum
tough.
physics tells us we're all energy.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so when you understand that, you understand a lot of the spirituality. And she was mentioning about the chakras. The chakras are really just energy points in your body, and that they have to be aligned. And so if they're not aligned, you call in a Reiki master, and she doesn't even touch you when she's, actually realigning your energy. And so really, for me and my beliefs and the energy, it's really, understanding that there's different dimensions. So for me, we're in the physical world, we're spiritual beings having a human experience in this physical world, but there's also other dimensions. My belief is when you transition and you die, you go into the non-physical world. A lot of medicine people believe there's many more dimensions.
Right.
So it's kind of understanding how that works, how energy works, and that's why you have people like Reiki masters that can manipulate and align the energy.
Yeah. I totally believe that, like, when you die, it's just like energy, because energy never dies.
Right.
So you're still there, but just like not in a physical form.
And
Or maybe it might come back as a different form.
you could. The most beautiful thing that I have ever experienced is crossing an individual over when they have passed
Mm-hmm.
in front of me. And you can feel the love, you can feel the energy, you can feel that they're afraid to go on, and you have to tell them, come on, it's okay. And when you're at that point, all your relatives come. The room, like we're four right here, it would be like 4,000, and you can feel that the room gets filled with something, and it's energy, Mija. And so when you're crossing a person over, we open a window so that they can go.
Yeah.
And I just well, not just in March, I crossed my uncle over, and we crossed my father over when he crossed over, and it's so beautiful, and it is so soothing to the people around. It's not people are scared and stuff.
Yeah.
You make it beautiful, because that's everybody comes in one way and we're gonna go out one way.
Yeah.
Now, have you guys been there when somebody made their transition?
No, I was just gonna ask, like,
Yeah.
what is that like?
It's a beautiful experience. I've had the honor of being there with two of my aunts, holding their hand as they took their last breath. But I wasn't afraid. I wasn't. It's actually a beautiful thing, and you get to see goodbye, and you see their last breath, and you realize, like for me being Cherokee, we don't have a word for goodbye in our language, because we know we'll see that spirit again. So it's like until we meet again.
Right.
Yeah.
So beautiful.
You said you.
Yeah. When I was a senior in high school, my grandma had passed away in front of us. And it
Oh,
was
okay, so you have seen it.
Yeah, and I was very, very close to my grandma. So it was a very powerful experience. And she was in a coma for a few days. So to feel, it was like an instant change in like temperature, the energy of the room, like everything. When they said, okay, we're gonna unplug her now. And then it happened. And the sound of her last breath is like ingrained in my memory. Like I can smell the room when I think about it. It was very, I don't know, it's just a very vivid memory. And those few days, were very like influential into my development as an adult man. And a few years ago, a really good friend of mine, I also witnessed the same thing with him. He was also in a coma. And I don't think it gets easier to experience with a loved one, but in a sense it is very relieving for the people that are watching someone in pain and endure this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But when you help them leave and their family members are there, it feels so beautiful, because what you've done is such a beautiful task. The most intimate times in your life are when you're born and when you cross over. Everything else is a lovely thing in between, but those two things are so intimate, and to be shared with people that you love, and it was just lovely. And actually, one of my cousins told me, if I go before you, Juanita, will you cross me over? I go, yeah, no problem. I got you covered. But it's really beautiful, and you shouldn't be afraid of it.
Yeah.
And I think the issue in the United States is that we don't have a good relationship with death.
No.
Right.
And a lot of the indigenous and native people, we get the fact that it's a cycle. Because if you look at nature, nature runs in cycles. You have your 4 seasons. We have 4 directions that we pray in. We have 4 elements. So there's a certainty in the cycles of nature. Whereas, so we're okay with the transitioning and death. In the U.S. society, we don't even want to get old, let alone die.
Right.
So we don't really have a good relationship with death in that process, which is really unfortunate, because then the aftermath of the grieving process is non-linear, and people don't understand it, so they shut down or don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
That's so true.
Like
And it also, because I think a lot of it has to do with like the religion that's practiced here, and a lot of it's scary, because when you're saying that, I'm thinking about when I was in Catholic school, and like how I was so scared of just the devil and like what was gonna happen. And like hearing you say that, it's like, I'm so glad that I'm not in like a specific religion. I'm more of like a spiritual person now.
And for us, they said, are you religious or spiritual? And we believe in nature, because nature doesn't lie.
Yeah.
Man can lie. Man can turn
women.
a situation into something else. But nature will never lie to you.
Yeah.
It won't. And so it doesn't mean we believe in the creator. I believe in a creator.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, but I believe in nature because she will never lie to us. Never.
That's so true.
And that was one of the reasons why we wrote the book, Sacred Ceremony and Rituals for Today's World, because we were having a lot of younger people, especially the Gen Z and the millennials, come to us and say, we know you practice ceremony, what does that look like?
Yeah.
Right.
And so for us, it's, you know, a lot of people that I talk to, a lot of the younger people say that they're not attached to organized religion.
Mhm.
And I'm not criticizing any religion,
No.
but I'm spiritual. And so for me, what I'd like to do is with the book, we're giving people a menu. This is a menu of tools in your tool chest. Do you want to do ceremony? This is how you do it. Do you want to use rituals? For me, I develop my spiritual practice, and every single day I do 3 things. I start off in the morning with my gratitude list. Then throughout the day, I pray and meditate. I like to say prayer is talking to the creator and ancestors. Meditation is listening.
Mhm.
So, you know, encouraging people to develop their spiritual practice, whatever that looks like to them.
Right.
So with the book, we put it all out there and let the reader and the audience pick and choose what works in their life, because everybody has their individual journey.
Right.
But we want to make sure that everything that you do is done with good intention,
Mm-hmm.
because anything can be light and anything can be dark. We are not dark. My thing when I wake up, my auntie told me, when you wake up, Juanita, laugh. I go, why? Smile and laugh, giggle, because that's infectious. And all day long, if you smile, smiles cost nothing.
Yeah.
And when you smile at somebody that you don't even know, you know they're going to smile back unless there's something really wrong with them.
Right.
And then you tell them, go to hell. No. I'm just kidding.
But laughing is an energy, right?
Right.
Yes.
When you laugh, you feel lighter.
Yes.
Right.
You feel happier.
It's true.
You know, so
True.
it's something that I think is important, because I believe that life is meant to be fun.
Yeah.
You know,
I
we get caught up in the negativity and the drama, and I just turn the news and you go crazy, right?
Oh my
So
God.
to me, it's like, how can I have a spiritual, you know, practice that keeps me grounded and keeps me, you know, irregardless of what's going on around me,
Right.
keep me happy, whole, and complete. And my mantra is, I'm blessed and grateful.
Yeah.
Every day. It doesn't matter what time you call her. Hi, Cynthia. Are you B and G? That's what I tell her.
Blessed and grateful. And guess what? You know, the more gratitude I practice, having that attitude of gratitude and being grateful for my blessings, the more blessings I get. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm blessed. I have an amazing life. I'm not saying I don't have challenges,
Mm-hmm.
but it's the way I approach things.
Yeah.
And so, you know, having that attitude of being blessed and grateful, it just really makes life fun and easy. And, you know, I appreciate all the experiences of good and bad, because I believe all the challenges are there to teach me a lesson.
Ooh,
Yeah.
It's like the power of perspective.
I was just about to say that it's all about perspective and
Yes.
like how you see the world, and like, you know, you can see it in the dark light, or you can see it just like in a better way where you're more positive and you're blessed and grateful. And I was waiting for you to say that because I know that's your
My mantra.
Yeah.
B and G.
And what's yours, Jenny?
FTW.
No, mine is what? Oh, Moss Groovy.
Ooh.
That's
You
what
were saying that today.
I always
Yeah.
say that. I always tell her, she was,
And what does that mean to you?
Yeah,
It
what
means
does
like
that mean?
The best. Like groovy is, you know, because I'm old school, right? And groovy was like, you know, and Moss Groovy is like the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that, you know, yeah. Ya se acabó el pinche pedo, Moss Groovy.
And what do you
I
think?
like
What's
that.
your mantra?
You know what? I don't have a mantra yet, which is, I came up with that question, but like I don't even have one. But I always do try to feel grateful. I don't know if I necessarily like, you know what I do? I do think I'm blessed, but I do feel grateful. Whenever I'm feeling down, I just know that I have to be grateful for what I have, and like, you know, I feel very lucky and privileged to be here, and I like to be with you, and
Oh,
Thank you.
I just feel
Me
like
too,
go
likewise.
Jesse, go Jesse.
I just feel like it's not so bad, especially when you have a partner that supports you and loves you. And even though I feel like
Same.
I can get stressed out and it overwhelms me, I have to take some steps back and remind myself that I'm grateful.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And you, Mijo?
I don't think I have a mantra so much, but I have a friend, a close friend, who he's actually been on the podcast. He says something that makes me laugh all the time. But the older I get, I kind of understand. He's a little older than me, so he says, "It is what it is, and not what it ain't."
That is old school.
Yeah, it always makes me laugh because perspective is a powerful component of that. Because you could take that and you could still be negative, but if you have the kind of the wherewithal to be like, okay, I'm gonna pursue happiness despite the circumstances or the stresses. I'm gonna choose to laugh and be funny and be lighthearted. And then it is what it is, and now it ain't. And sometimes you can't. Okay, yeah, we both said we grew up Catholic. The one prayer that always stuck with me was, I think it's the Lord's Prayer.
Our Father?
No, the
Hail Mary?
no, I can't. I see. I'm a bad Catholic for this, but basically the one that's God give me the serenity to accept.
So the
things.
serenity prayer.
Yeah, the serenity prayer. We used to say that all the time.
So it's about acceptance.
It's about acceptance, and then he says, "Give me the courage to change the things that I can." The serenity
Wisdom
accept-
to know the difference.
and the wisdom to know the difference. I used to say it all the time in high school, but that one was always pretty powerful to me because
You said that in Catholic school?
yeah.
Wow.
We had
My
math.
I learned it from my brother because he's an
Priest.
AA. So the serenity prayer is something that's very important. It's acceptance and not trying to change things, change people, change circumstances, because a lot of times we try to control the other person. So that's really not acceptance. And people get into relationships and okay, they have an idea of what their partner should be, so they try to make you fit that image in their mind.
There's this prayer that I used to go to a Native American Catholic church, the only Native American Catholic church in the Los Angeles Archdiocese. And our priest was a lovely man, Father Tom. And when you start, before his homily, and when we start the thing, it's at the very end. Lord, I am not worthy that you come under my roof, speak but the words of
that.
I didn't say that. I said, Lord, I am worthy. I told him.
And you're lucky to know me.
Because I used to sit in the front. Holy Angels of the Deaf. But the priest knew, and I told him, I can't say I am not worthy. And he goes, what are you going to say? I go, I'm going to say I am worthy. Because we are worthy.
Yeah.
Once we say we're not worthy, well, then we're shit. We're nothing.
Yeah.
But no, in the Creator's eyes, yes, we are worthy, or else we wouldn't be here right now.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to change that. You have to go talk to somebody in Rome.
I was gonna follow back up with ceremony. Why do you guys think that ceremony is important?
Wow. You can go first.
So for me, what ceremony does in my life, it helps me stay grounded. Because we are in a complicated world where there are a lot of stress, a lot of people are feeling anxious.
Right.
I found out there's a new anxiety that Gen Z is suffering from. They have anxiety because of climate change. They're so worried about, so everybody's worried about everything. And so back to the serenity prayer, there's certain things we can't change. So having this ceremony, it allows me to pray in community. It allows me to connect with my ancestors, and that act actually keeps me grounded and sane.
And I feel that it connects our community.
Yes.
Because once we come together, and you have been to our ceremony, once people come in, most of the people are like, what is going to happen here when they come in? And I think we're so welcoming,
Right.
and that we want you to feel like you belong there. It's not a club where only it's inclusive.
Right.
We're not, what is that other one? Not inclusive.
Exclusive.
Exclusive.
Mhm.
We are inclusive, and we want people to feel that when they come. And we want them to realize that everything that we do in a ceremony is just about nature.
Yeah.
You know, we're not calling anybody out. We don't care what you are, what color you are, what you look like. When you're there for a full moon ceremony, you belong there. You're part of us.
Yeah.
And you take something with you when you go. There's a piece of us being the collective of everybody there. You take that, and you know what? There's no way you can't take it with you because it was given in love.
Mm.
And so I think when people leave, everybody that goes to it is affected one way or another.
Yeah.
And then we pray in circle.
Yeah.
And circle's important because it shows that everybody's equal.
Right.
Yeah,
You know,
it's
it
like
doesn't
the
matter what
circuit.
my job title is, it doesn't matter
Right.
anything. When we're in ceremony and circle, everybody's equal and everybody's
Correct.
the same. Doesn't
Absolutely.
I'm tall, so you know, it doesn't matter how tall you are, short you are, we're all the same.
I'm
Yeah.
not tall.
Sorry, Jed, you're not tall.
I thought it
Don't
was-
break that news to her. She doesn't know.
Don't tell me that. Okay.
Okay, so I know you guys have accomplished a lot. What are you guys doing right now currently? Like, where are you guys focused at?
Okay. Well, I retired from corporate America 20 something years ago,
Mm.
and I retooled myself, and I thought, what do I want to do when I grow up?
Yeah.
And I've always had spirituality in me. It wasn't taught to us, it was just the way we lived.
Mm-hmm.
I thought everybody lived that way, but I found out later you don't.
Mm-hmm.
And so I became a Reiki master because some email kept coming to my thing and saying, you know, Reiki, and I thought, what the hell is this? And I kept deleting it, deleting it. So like 6 months, 8 months later, I said, I wonder what this is. So I went on Google, what's Reiki? And I went, oh, okay. So I became an esthetician. I was in human resources, and I worked on people's benefits, you know, their money, right?
Yeah.
So then I went to working on people's bodies. So I was an esthetician, and I said, oh, I think I need to be a masseuse. So then I went to masseuse school. So I'm certified in both.
Mm.
And then Reiki came along, and I thought, what the hell is this? And I didn't know they had Reiki classes all over. I went to some place out there close to Ventura, and I used to have to drive every Sunday. And I was like,
What?
yes. Every Sunday I would drive over there, and I thought, and then somebody told me, oh, there's some place in Pasadena. Why didn't somebody tell me? But I went there because, the teacher goes, oh, how did you learn about my class? And I said, well, you know, all the emails you sent me. She goes, I don't send out emails. And I thought, she's lying. So I went home, and I went on to, you know, where you get the sent mail.
Yeah.
There was nothing in my mailbox. It was a miracle. Nothing about her class. How did that happen? So that was a divine thing that happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
And when the first time I went to my Reiki class, I thought, this is a bunch of crap. I don't believe in this like energy healing stuff. And I was like rolling my eyeballs and stuff. And at the first class, I was like, the second class, boom. And so the lady tells me, real quick, I'm sorry.
There's no rush.
She
There's
goes,
no
No,
she
we
goes,
can take all the time
okay,
you want.
she goes,
Well, we have 2 hours.
yeah. She goes, are you a healer? And the only other person that ever said that to me was her. And I said, no. And because I was like mad, you know, and she goes, oh. So we had to do something, and it's touching, right? So there was this young man that was my partner. I know he was. So I had my hands behind his back, and he goes, how? And I thought, what's wrong with him? Damn kid, little weenie, you know, and he goes, oh, you're burning me. And I thought, and my teacher comes over, she goes, let me see your hands. And I felt like I did something wrong, right? And I go, why? She goes, let me see your hands. So I went like this, and they were like tomatoes.
Oh, no.
Wow.
And teacher goes, are you a healer? I said, no. I just didn't. So I never said anything to her until a couple of classes after. I said, well, actually, I'm 6th generation healer in my family. 6th generation woman healer. She goes, oh my God. So then after that, I was her partner.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did your familial history with healing inform your experience with Reiki?
Well, I say that is my medicine, because everybody, like, my medicine is prayer and Reiki. Some people are plant people, they do plant medicine.
Right.
Some people, they can do so many different things. But for me, I knew that once I had my atonements, it came out in my hands. So I have hot hands.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that everything that I had felt through all my life I knew I needed to work with people. I didn't know how, but I just knew I needed to. And it was kind of, after I thought about it, here I worked in corporate America and I just did people's benefits. And now the benefits is that I'm working on their bodies, you know, body, spirit, body, and mind. And it felt so right. And I think when something feels right with you, you know it. And we have to learn to accept those feelings, because we want to say, no, that's not this, no, it's not that. But you have to learn to trust yourself. And I trust myself with that.
Yeah.
Well, then why did you tell me no when I asked you if you were a healer?
Because I never tell people that, because I just felt like, oh, no, because I don't say that. It's like saying, oh, look at my badge, and I will, and I don't do that.
Yeah.
And I just thought, well, how does she know? Because I didn't do anything special.
I guess it's like, if you know, you know.
Yeah.
I felt it.
Yeah, and she did. She goes, I felt it, and I went, oh, okay.
It's inevitable.
Yeah.
Yes.
For people who are in tune with themselves as well, you know.
You do have very hot hands. She
You're burning my face.
Yeah.
She touched me to bless me at the full moon ceremony.
Yeah.
And I did tell her, I said something about your touch was like, it reminded me of my grandmother. Like, the warmth, it reminded me of, like, it was like love.
Yeah.
It was very
Thank you.
complicated, like, series of emotions and feelings.
And I get that from a lot of people, you know, and usually, many times I'll ask for your forehead, and that I'm giving you that blessing. That's the highest blessing I can give you.
It's really incredible, because it's not like you weren't moving or anything. You just literally stationary,
It's
just
like the
placed
energy.
your hands on me.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh wow,
Yeah.
It's like, just, it's powerful.
We felt so good after we left the ceremony. Like, we were just so, like, happy, and we felt like
energy.
whole.
It made sense.
It felt right,
Yeah,
you know?
it made sense. It felt very, like, tribal.
Mhm.
And I feel like, I don't know if everybody feels like that. Maybe it just has to do with, like, our background and our ancestors. But the tribal feeling, the collective, is very fulfilling, and it's hard to knock. It's hard to, like, deny that it feels good. It feels very.
You feel included.
Yeah.
Yes.
You feel, it's very inclusive.
Oh,
and
that's
like,
beautiful.
It was such a
Thank
good
you.
feeling, and you guys provided that.
Yeah.
Going back to how we met, I think, you know, because Jennie and I come from very different worlds. And so that's why I said when I started, I do believe the ancestors and creator put us together.
Yeah.
And so part of my role was helping her, you know, accept her healing ability. And then from that point on, we joined together in a spiritual adventure.
Right.
And both of us we've been all, you know, many different sacred places. And so we were brought together. But for me, because I come from a completely different world, I've always helped people. I have a master's degree in counseling. I knew from a very early age that I wanted to help people. I don't have the gifts that she has, but I do feel I have the gifts of empathy and compassion. And, you know, people always come to us for different issues. I'm an executive coach. I'm a professor teaching business at the graduate level and leadership. And so I do a lot of different things in my life, because my mission, I actually have a mission statement, is to be a beneficial presence on this planet.
Wow.
But I'm the type that gets bored easy, so I do it in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
One of the ways I do it is an author. So that's why we authored this book. So I've authored or co-authored a total of 5 books. So what I'm doing now, my very first book that I did like 10 years ago, is called Finding Sane Relationships in a Crazy World. And so what I'm doing is I'm going back to that book and now adding a lot of exercises, because I think a lot of people, you know, how do you get rid of your emotional baggage?
Right.
You know, so I believe that you're the foundation of all relationships in your life. So if you work on yourself, your relationships are going to be better, whether they be romantic relationships, family relationships, friends. And so I think a lot of people want to do better with their lives. They just don't have the tools.
Right.
And so what I'm doing is adding all these exercises. And so in the next few months, I'm going to be releasing the second edition of that book. And so it's a way of like, how do I help people? You know, I'm not here to tell anybody what to do, but how can I help people and give them tools to make their life better?
Right.
Maybe when you release the book, we can do another episode all about the book.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm game. I'm open. You know, I just really appreciate you two. I appreciate you guys, because providing a platform that's so needed. You know, for so many people are searching out there. So many people feel alone, feel lost. So having these conversations is something that can help so many. So thank you.
We appreciate
Thank
you
you.
guys. Yeah, like we were excited to be here today.
We were super excited to meet with you guys today.
Really?
Since we met you.
We were a little worried just because we've been moving, so we were like pretty stressed out, but we were just like, no, we have to do this today, because like
I was so stressed
Yeah,
all week.
we-
I was just telling
so
her I've been like in
stressed.
a shitty mood all day, and
happened.
I told her I was worried. I wanted to be.
like your full potential.
I didn't want to bring
Yeah.
my bad energy here.
Same.
I wanted to show up being my best version of myself for you guys.
Yeah.
But I didn't even really have to think about it, because honestly, just seeing you guys kind of just
I
brought me.
know.
It brought my spirits back
I
up.
think
Yeah.
both of us.
Yeah.
Because like as I was driving here, I was just like, okay, I hope like I'm gonna be enough. I hope like my energy is gonna be there, and like yeah, just seeing you guys and just like your conversation is just like it
Thank
brought
you.
both of us up.
You're both healers.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's one thing that's it. This has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but I'll probably forget because I
Say
Um,
it.
Cynthia told me this, I don't know, this year, last year, I was having personal problems because, you know, I was just taking on all this shit. And she goes, Jennie, you can't carry their water for them. And I was like, the hell does that mean? And then I thought, you know, here we're carrying 2 buckets of water plus our stuff, right?
Right.
Drop the damn buckets and don't carry it for them anymore, because we can't do that. Because if we do that for every person around us, there will be nothing left of us. And we always have to save a part of us so that we can transplant it, because sometimes people just suck the life out of you.
Yeah.
And
You
suck
know?
and there's energy vampires, we
Yeah.
call them.
Yeah,
The
Yes.
drama people
That's
that
true.
like you walk away and like, ooh,
like
I
shit.
feel like I
Got
felt
bit.
like crap.
Yes.
They've
Need
got
a
me.
nap.
Yeah, no kidding. But so when you're feeling that way, or if somebody tries to like put something on you, just know, I'm not carrying your water. You don't have to tell them that. You tell yourself that and just leave those buckets there. You carry your own damn water,
Yeah.
you know? But that was so simple, and that's so profound
Yeah.
when you think about it, you know? We don't have to carry theirs. We can help them, but we don't have to carry it.
It's true.
And I think that's part of our native indigenous beliefs is this simplicity.
Yeah.
You know, the opposite of being so complicated is, let's go back to the old ways and simple ways, because for us, we're taught that everybody's connected. We're connected to everything that's ever been, everything that ever will be. And when our leaders make decisions, we consider 7 generations in the past, which are our ancestors,
Yeah.
and think about 7 generations in the future. Imagine if our leaders did that. We wouldn't be having this climate crisis, and
Right.
they'd be saying, okay, it's not just about me,
Right.
it's in a more holistic view. How do we save this planet for the future?
Right.
So sometimes the simple ways are the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, you know, as I always say, I don't know what the hell the theory of relativity is, but I know it's there.
Yeah.
But I
You
do
live it.
know, yeah. But I do know that if we stay on this path that we're on this journey, on this spiritual journey that we're on, and and people like you, we just bring them into the fold, and you see what's right for you, and as long as we can show you this, you pick what you want, because you have to pick what's right for you and what's right for your family.
Mhm.
But when you do it with when we do our ceremonies, it's with love and grace and gratitude.
Yeah.
And that's the only way you can live. I mean, not everything's going to be right all the time, but there's a hell of a lot more right than there is wrong.
Yeah.
And if we don't carry those buckets of crap, then we're okay. When we did a podcast before, and we did the big blue tsunami. When Georgia was, you remember the senator was running, Warnock was running against that football player guy, I can't remember his name, Kemp or something. So every week we would come on and we'd say, come on, the blue tsunami, because we wanted the thing to turn from, I'm a Democrat, from Republican to Democrat. And every week we prayed on it. And he won. Yes! We were like, the blue tsunami came through, because all the states were red back there. We were
Right.
going to make them blue, because how they hate California.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone hates
Well,
California.
but
do
we
they
don't.
know?
I don't pray to manipulate anything.
I do. No.
I pray for more love in this world,
Mhm.
more compassion, more acceptance, like general things. Everything in life has a duality, right? The opposite of dark is light.
Mhm.
Opposite of love is hate. And so what I try to focus on is bringing more things that I would like to see into this world.
Right.
Like the perseverance of truth.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
The real truth.
Yeah, the real
Not
truth.
the made up shit bullshit.
Right.
truth.
Yeah,
The
not the
manipulation.
And the real truth is nature.
Yeah.
Because once again, nature does not lie.
True.
That's one thing about the ceremony that also is very like powerful, is that there's very few abstractions.
Uh-huh.
There's nothing that's too abstract. It's very real. It's all things that are grounded in nature and Mother Earth and just like real existence.
It's simple.
Yeah, it's simple. It makes sense. Like the directions. You brought up the quadrants, and that I can't stop thinking about how you brought up how quadrants is kind of like a thing, like the directions and even the dimensions themselves. Is,
Everything.
Well, 4 is a sacred number for
Yeah.
most indigenous people.
yeah, you brought that up too during the ceremony. I was kind of thinking about it. She loves the number 5, and like it was my passcode from. It still is my passcode for my.
Oh, great! You just told everybody your
Yeah,
passcode.
it's cool. No one's gonna take it off. There's nothing on there. You can have my debt.
Take the debt.
Yeah, take it.
I actually like the number 5. I like 22. I like 11. Those are my numbers.
Okay, so I play those numbers on roulette table.
Oh my
Those
God.
are my roulette numbers. 4 is my sacred number. I do. I play 5,
Oh my
7,
God.
11, and 22 on the roulette table.
That's funny.
And I usually win too.
Oh, okay.
I'll try it next.
My birthday is 11/22, so that's probably why I just gravitate towards those numbers. But I also like patterns and repetition of numbers.
Okay.
So.
Like prime numbers or whatever, like 3, 6, 9, whatever the hell that is.
Yeah.
That was on a Barbra Streisand movie. That's why. Prime numbers.
Which one?
The mirror has many faces or something like that. I just love that movie.
Okay, they've never heard of it.
I've never
I
heard
know.
of it.
I'm like,
And I've
oh,
never seen
sorry.
it.
I've seen Meet the Fockers. She's in that.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Yes.
Her and Dustin
She
Hoffman.
was really good.
The Fockers. I kept thinking, what the hell did they say? I roll them back.
I know. His name is Gaylord.
That was an intentional play on words.
Yeah.
It was, and it threw me off. Okay. Ask
Okay.
us anything. We'll answer you anything.
Oh
Send
wait,
our
we
password.
were on Cynthia. So
Okay.
we talked about Jennie and what she's focusing on.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Oh, I guess you did kind
She
of
did
cover each
mention
other.
it. That's why I didn't want to interrupt it because she was just like on a flow.
Yeah, you
without
guys
me
are flowing
having
so
to
great.
interrupt. But you can still go over what you're focusing on now, and we can kind of talk about your guys' books.
So right now I'm actually focusing a lot on the native indigenous communities. So I come from 2 cultures. I'm Latina from my dad's side. My grandparents came from Mexico 100 years ago.
Mhm.
And then on my mom's side, I'm Cherokee from Oklahoma. So for growing up in LA, I didn't really feel like I fit in and on my Latina side because I don't speak Spanish. And then on my native side, I felt like I didn't really fit in because I wasn't on the reservation. And so as I get more mature and wiser, now I see the beauty in both cultures.
Right.
And so for whatever reason, since I got my native name, my Cherokee name Lion Mother, I'm being pulled to serve the native community. So I'm chair of what's called Salagi LA, Cherokees of Los Angeles. Last week I was just on NBC National News, Racial Day of Healing, giving the indigenous perspective. And Jennie and I were talking about this earlier. So the woman that, the news anchor that asked me a question, you know, she said, you know, of all the things she could have asked me, she said, well, I am a woman from white privilege and my ancestors came on the Plymouth from, you know, the boat right after the Mayflower, and I feel guilty. What should I do about it? So I'm thinking in my mind, because they didn't give us the questions ahead of time, so I'm thinking in my mind, really? You want me to tell you how you can feel better? So I really just pivoted and talked about healing from a native perspective and how we just want the truth acknowledged. And the truth is, natives have gone through nothing less than genocide in this country. And until we start acknowledging, so not only genocide, but a concerted effort to strip us from our culture through boarding schools. The United States government owned 400 boarding schools with the intention of really stealing the kids. A lot of the kids were stolen, put in these schools, and stripped them from their culture. So until we really acknowledge the history or our perception of what we went through, then how do you start the healing?
Right.
So all that to say, I'm working on a lot of different things, especially in the Native community, to really just have a voice, a seat at the table in different platforms to be able to acknowledge. And, you know, we've also done a lot of work around sexual trauma.
Right.
And for me, the very first step in sexual trauma is really acknowledging that it happened. Because, and that's both in Latino culture and Native culture. You know, in the Native culture, 50% of the women will either be physically abused or sexually abused. That's 1 out of every 2. In the Latino culture, we don't even know because nobody talks about it. It's something that, you know, that you sweep under the rug. And because usually the sexual trauma occurs by somebody that you know or a family member. And so you can't talk about it. So everybody knows it's there. And it's not
secret
just
shame.
Yeah, it's not just women, it's men too. And so for us, that's what drove us to write another book called Yo Tambien, Stories of Healing and Hope, around that, having that conversation. Let's rip off the Band-Aid and start the conversation. So to me, healing starts with acknowledgement.
Yeah, and it's, if you don't talk about it in families, then it didn't happen.
Pretty much. That's how they feel, I guess.
Well, that's how the family members will feel.
And you know, let's
also, I just want to acknowledge how well you flowed with like the questions I had for you. I'm so proud. Like, I'm so happy. Thank you so much.
It's going great.
we read.
Well, I do want to say one more thing on the sexual trauma, because it's complicated. So, you know, and a lot of people say, oh, well, why are they talking about it now? It happened so many years ago. Well, it's because our defense mechanism is to bury it. You know, I've had a lot of sexual trauma in my life. I mostly talk about being violently raped when I was 17. But a couple of weeks ago, my uncle called me to tell me that my cousin died. And so I started thinking, and then what came up for me is that particular cousin used to babysit me. When I was 9 years old, I was sexually traumatized by him. So I was kind of glad he was dead. But but it was like I had buried that somewhere and not even thought about it until my uncle told me that he had passed. So there's so much that, you know, we have, and a lot of people, you know, I'm nothing special, because so many people, and we don't know the numbers in the Latino community because of the shame, the guilt. And so for me, the first thing I had to do is say it out loud, say that it happened. And then the most powerful tool that I had was forgiveness. So I forgave the person that caused the trauma pretty early on. But the missing key for me, and it didn't heal until this really happened, is I had to forgive myself.
Mhm.
Because in this society, we're taught that, like, if you're sexually traumatized, you brought that on, you caused
Right.
that.
Yeah.
And so
Right.
in my mind, I was feeling guilty about all this and didn't even know it. So once I forgave myself, then I was truly able to heal from the sexual trauma.
Mhm.
And-
Until I remembered about my cousin a couple weeks
Yeah,
ago
then
that
it's
I
like-
had forgotten about.
Yeah.
It like forced reflection. On
Yeah.
it.
And for me, my godchild was the
Right.
one that brought me into this.
Right.
And it was within her family.
Right.
And so she was a little girl. And she would call me every week. Can I call you? Yeah, okay. And, and then she changed. Something just kind of clicked over, and I kept saying, and I won't say her name. What's wrong? Nothing. And, a couple of weeks. And then she just sounded terrible. I go, and I knew her parents weren't there.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, is there somebody in the house that is hurting you? She goes, no. I said, what? And I thought, wow, she failed school. She smoked a cigarette. I was putting out all this stuff
Right.
and I never thought to think she was raped. So that's the last thing I said. And she said yes. And then I thought, oh shit, now what do I say?
Mm.
I opened the can of worms for her.
Yeah.
And I told her, you're going to have to,
And how old was she at the time?
at the time she was 11.
My
No,
gosh.
No, I'm sorry. She was, when she told me, I think she was like 13. She was 13.
Mm.
And I said, okay, your mom and dad are coming home tonight. I go, you need to tell her, because she was up north. I said, because I will fly up there.
Right.
And when she said it, it kind of broke up their family. And I flew her down here. It was during a spring break, and I said, you need to come down here. And so I flew her down here, and our healing place was in Laguna. Go to the beach. I go, there is nothing bigger than the ocean. What you're carrying could not be as heavy as what's in the ocean.
Right.
Let's just put all of that in the ocean. Let's let it go. Just put it out there. And I told her, you have to forgive yourself, Mia, because and for most people, I think, and thank God this never happened to me, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. The person that did that to you was goddamn broken. They're sicker than you are. What they've caused you to, all that trauma that they've given you. Could you imagine how bad? I would think they must feel terrible. And maybe they don't feel terrible, but they know they've done something wrong. They know it. Let them carry their water.
Right.
They know it.
And one of the reasons why we started, the book, Yo Tambien, Stories of Healing and Hope, it was right around the Me Too movement was coming out,
Mm-hmm.
which was fine. I support the Me Too movement all the way.
Yeah.
But what we were looking at with the Me Too movement is sexual trauma in the workplace.
Yeah.
Right.
And so we said, okay, it happens in the workplace, but for us, it happens at home.
Yeah.
So
In the
we
family,
started
yeah.
the conversation, and we did a whole healing circle, prayer circle, at the historic state park
Yeah.
in downtown LA, and we brought people together and we prayed for the healing of our community.
Mhm.
We prayed for the healing of people that had experienced the trauma, and we prayed for people that caused the trauma.
Yeah.
And people were like, why are you praying for them? They should be
Right.
in jail. And I said, you know what? People that have caused the trauma usually have been traumatized themselves.
Right.
And so it's like, how do we
Cycle.
break this cycle
Yeah.
of pain for everybody? Because people don't realize when you're sexually traumatized, it's, maybe the person that causes the trauma, they walk away the next day, don't even think about it. This sticks with people for many, 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 many years.
Probably all their life.
Yeah.
So it's about, for us, it was about healing the community and having the difficult conversations.
I was gonna follow up with the question of like, why was it important for you guys to title it in Spanish?
Oh,
To differentiate ourselves from the Me Too movement,
that's right.
specifically for our community. And we also intentionally included a man's story
Yeah.
because it happens to men. So
Yeah.
if you look at the stories, it's not like, oh, this happened to me. It was, how did I heal?
Right.
We wanted
Yeah.
to share with people, you can heal. It's not easy, but there are people that have healed and been very, very successful and not let that one experience dominate their lives.
Yeah.
I like that perspective because I think sometimes highlighting the fact that you are a victim doesn't really teach or provide anything for people who have gone through it or who are going through it. I like that highlighting the healing part and the acceptance and forgiveness. That's really powerful because that's what people want to relate to. I think it's too easy to say it happened to me.
Right.
It happened it happened to me too. And sometimes people want the attention for it, not because they just want attention, but obviously they want someone to acknowledge that
Yeah.
they've been hurt.
Yeah. It's real.
But
and it is real.
yeah, it's real. But I like the part of that you're focusing on this. This is how I've healed. This is how I'm healing. This is how I'm going to continue to heal. And this is something you can learn from
Yeah, and
to heal yourself.
It's putting the light, because what they've been carried this whole time is darkness,
Right.
sadness. Let's turn on that light for them so that they can see the light and they can go to it, because they can heal.
Right.
It just depends on how bad you want it. And it was never your fault.
Right.
You were in the wrong place at the wrong time.
And I had to be very vulnerable to share that experience. I remember the
Yeah.
first time that I talked
Right.
about it publicly, because I do a lot of public speaking. I was speaking at a women's conference, and it was in March, in front of 500 women. I got on stage, and as a part of my story, I mean, I talked about all the other amazing stuff that I've done, but then I talked about all that, you don't know where it came from, and I shared that.
Right.
And so after I finished speaking, after the conference was done, I had a line of women. I mean, and I'm like, what? Because I always judge how well I speak based on the line after, right? So I had a line of women, and every single woman came up and was crying and said, it happened to me too. Thank you for sharing your
Yeah.
story. So then I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm onto something here. People need to be heard.
Right.
People want this, and again, that's why I have to say it from a healing perspective, not just I don't give the details
Yeah.
of it because
Yeah.
it's not important.
Right.
What's important is that I was able to work through it and heal, through my spiritual connections, through my sisterhood, through my friends and family and all the support that I was able to get to the other side.
Yeah.
It's
And
like oh sorry.
I was just gonna say, I was sharing your story with my mom, and she really resonated with it, and like she doesn't know how to listen to my podcast, and even though I tell her I can show her, she still doesn't know how. But she did say she wants to hear this one because of the story that I shared with her from your book, from your guys' book,
Yeah.
and like it just she really connected with it, and I'm just really glad that we're doing this, and I'm really glad that we're talking about this right now.
And it's important. And you know what? I don't even know how all 10 of us got together. Well, we knew each other, and we maybe knew 2 other people.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how the hell the other ones got there. I mean, I think did we interview people?
No.
Was kids of it? I don't know. All of a sudden, we had 10 people.
Yeah.
And it was like wonderful because everybody has a different story.
Yeah.
We're all, everybody wants to heal. Everybody, we're all going to the same place. We're just taking a different avenue to get there.
Right.
And so it was so powerful. And I'm not a writer, and a couple of other people weren't writers there, but just for them to be so brave and to tell their story, it moved me so much
Right.
that I was so proud of them.
Mm-hmm.
And we took a picture, all of us together. And when I looked at everybody there, I thought, oh my God, these were people from all walks of life, and yet they experienced the same thing. And I could see how they wanted to heal, and that was so moving to me,
Mm-hmm.
that they were so brave to put that's a brave thing to put it down on a book,
Right.
you know?
And since then, we've done, healing. So we partnered with the East Los Angeles Women's Center,
Oh yeah, we did.
and we went and did a whole workshop for them.
Yeah.
And
That's
so it's
amazing.
about, you know, to me, it's planting the seeds out there.
Mm,
Whoever's supposed to receive those seeds, we hope that they'll water it
right.
and really share it with others, like you know, sharing it with your mom, because it's a bigger problem or bigger issue than any of us would like to admit.
And I want to dive in a little more to, I mean, not just Latino culture, but I do want to like talk about that because it's something that we're so ashamed to talk about, and it happens within the family with girls and boys, and like everyone's scared to talk about it. And what's your guys's, like, do you have any stories or experiences on that?
Well, as I said, for my godchild, when she opened it up to her family, it split her family.
Right.
It absolutely split them. And I know her parents, and I really love her parents. And I had to walk a real fine line on that
Right.
because I wanted to say, what the heck is the matter with you? Help her.
Yeah.
And yet they turned around,
Yeah.
and I'm like, what? And that's why I felt responsible for her as a younger girl.
Yeah.
And her and I are very close. To this day, we're very, very close. And she said, you know, she was at the point of almost taking her life,
Mm.
you know, and I can't understand how, if you see that your child is hurt, how you could not want to help them, you know. I don't get that. I mean, I've never had any children, but I'll be damned if I'm going to let somebody hurt my
seriously.
child.
Right.
Shit, I'll take you to the wall.
But
Especially,
it does break up families,
It
because I did
does.
have a young woman came up to me and she shared her story that she, you know, she was being sexually molested by one of her uncles,
Right.
and she did tell her parents. The parents called the cops, and the uncle went to jail.
Yeah.
And she
Wow.
had to testify, and she was a young
Oh
girl
my
at that
God.
time, and it split the family. And so the family, that they don't talk to each other because, you know, it's her fault she put the uncle in jail. They didn't look
Right.
at like he
His
did
fault.
anything wrong.
He's a grown
Right.
And
man.
so
Mhm.
the families are torn apart, and she says that it'll never be repaired.
Right.
And so it's hard.
yeah,
And it's such a common story to
Right.
hear. Like I've heard that story so many times. It's the uncle, it's the dad, it's the
Yeah.
grandpa,
Right.
and then it's like a lot of the times you hardly ever hear that the family actually, you know, calls the cops on them. Like it's always usually silenced or
Right.
like, you know, that didn't happen, you're just being
Mhm.
dramatic, or like,
And
you know.
sometimes it's even it's just so complicated. Like I went through something myself when I was a kid, and I didn't talk about it with my family until I was probably in like my mid 20s, and it's because it was someone related to my dad. It was a woman who did it, and now like my family is I'm not that I don't feel welcome. It's just that I can't interact with that side of the family. It's awkward. I have a very awkward, strange relationship with my dad's mom and my grandma.
Mhm.
And I mentioned earlier my grandma who passed. That was my mom's mom. I was super close to her. She like helped raise me, and all the trauma that happened to me happened in my other grandma's house.
Uh-huh.
It was like allowed. It was enabled, and like you said, it's ingrained in our culture like to sweep things under the rug,
Yeah.
to be afraid of the consequences. It's really like I don't even have the words to articulate how insane it is that when you become the victim of sexual trauma, it's like a curse in a way, because it's not just you have to deal with like the trauma, then you have to deal with the potential fallout, the aftermath, with the growing with it. Like your goddaughter, you mentioned, she's considering taking her own life, and it's
Yeah.
like she has to deal with abandonment because her parents don't want to help her.
Yeah, because they didn't support her or nurture her through this
Yeah.
whole thing. I feel so bad for children, and
Right.
what you're saying is like, I can feel that, you know.
Yeah, my grandma's dying right now from cancer,
Mhm.
and my dad is like torn by it,
Right.
and it's so difficult for me to be there for him because I have such a strained, complicated relationship with his mom, and
Yeah.
with that side, I don't even go around. I haven't been to her house. She's moved multiple times in the past decade. I've never been there. You know, like it's very. I don't know. I feel like a lot of it is cultural in a way.
Yeah.
But you have to realize that you have to take care of you,
Oh yeah.
because if you don't, then they succeeded taking you away from you.
Right.
Yeah.
Then they've taken your
It's too
life.
much power.
Yeah, and you don't
Yeah.
give that to them.
And everyone suffers if you
Yeah.
don't, because before I talked about it, I was suffering for it. I was not like being honest to myself. I wasn't taking care of myself, and you see that happen to you see it happen. I mean, obviously, I'm a man, and you don't hear it as often about men.
Right.
You see it though with women, and you even see it in a sense like the way it's portrayed, even in entertainment. It's like the trauma gets romanticized. The it happened to me gets romanticized, but not the healing doesn't get romanticized, and that's the part that you guys are focusing on. And I
Yeah.
think that is what you're bringing to the world,
So
and that's
Jesse,
amazing.
let me just say thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you for being vulnerable, and thank you for reminding us. A lot of people think it's the men that cause the sexual trauma.
No.
It's could be either way. It's
Yeah.
somebody in a position of power that
Yeah.
takes
Right.
advantage of a vulnerable person for their own benefit or pleasure.
Mhm.
So thank you for reminding us that yes, women can, be perpetrators as well. But
Right.
thank you for being a man and standing up and sharing that, because I know it takes a lot. It takes a lot for women, but men are actually held to a different standard in our
Yeah.
society.
Right.
Like they don't talk about it because you don't even talk about emotions anyway. So you're certainly not going to talk about trauma.
Yeah,
Right.
no,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and the most important thing on that is the healing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because after that, nothing else matters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
No.
have you healed?
Have I healed?
Because we would like to help you if you haven't
Yeah.
offline, not today.
Yeah.
I would say that I with my experience, I feel I've healed. I've accepted it. I've forgiven. I've distanced myself from the part of myself that was in pain.
Yeah.
I'm this. I mean, she's known me since I was a kid, and she tells me all the time, like, you're not even the same person I met when you're that whatever age, and even in your 20s. And I've gone through so many changes in my life, and I've gone through so much other trauma that I've kind of been forced to change and to heal. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to have her in this relationship I have. I wouldn't be able to have the stability I have. I was kind of forced into it because the alternative was things that probably are not good for me,
Self-destruction.
Self-destruction.
Yeah.
And I was already heading down that path and actively pursuing those types of things, and I had to kind of intervene into my own life, and the only way I could do that was to ask for help.
So, forgiveness is powerful, like I already said,
Yeah.
but it's okay forgiving the person that caused the trauma, forgiving yourself. But the third thing I didn't mention is forgiving the people that you thought should have protected you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's important.
That's like the
important.
part, because
That's like a while.
Yeah.
right, because it's like because most of the time it happens when we're under 18, and there
Yeah.
should have been somebody there to protect. So it's forgiving those people, and they might not even have known, they might have looked the other way, whatever. So there's forgiveness, there's like a triangle there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? I know we say that may take a while, but sometimes time is not on our side, mijo.
Yeah.
And once you do that, then you've let go of all the ugly.
Yeah.
And it may be something that you might do a little sooner than later.
Mm-hmm.
And that's almost you're doing it for yourself.
Yeah.
You're doing it for yourself.
And let me give you a exercise that I recommend all the time, and I've done it myself with forgiveness. If you don't want to talk to the person,
Mm.
or if they have made their transition, write a letter. Write a letter, because the important thing is getting the emotions out
From you.
for forgiveness. Because we started talking about energy. Well,
That's true.
emotions have energy, and they stay in our body cells.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, if you need to forgive somebody that you don't want to talk to, but you need to forgive, write that person a letter, put all those emotions out, and then use a white candle and burn it.
Oh wow.
So you're releasing it.
I think that's actually very interesting advice. I think I kind of have to take it because
You don't have to take it.
I honestly feel like I'm obligated to, because the fact that I even know that if I really wanted to, I could speak to this person.
Sure.
Knowing that there are people that I know and love who have gone through worse sexual trauma who don't even know the people who did
Yeah.
this, or who can't even remember, don't know. It's like I have an obligation in a way
To yourself.
to myself and to
Yeah.
the people I love who've experienced that type of pain. Like I need to do that, because I've never even thought of that. I've never even considered that you could just write it out and like you say, like,
Well, I had to do that with my parents, both
Yeah.
parents.
yeah,
You know,
Right.
one with my dad, and he didn't cause sexual trauma, but I had issues there.
yeah,
And then with my mom, so you know, she wasn't asking for forgiveness, but I wrote a letter thanking her for the, you know, allowing me to, you know, forgive her.
Right.
yeah,
Thank you for sharing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I just want you to know that I'm here to support you in any way you need.
I appreciate you guys.
Okay. When I'm doing like Reiki healing, and most women, when I get to their, okay, this sounds silly. When I get to their root chakra, where their personal stuff is, right? You know, for women, right?
Yeah, we know where it's at,
Yeah.
Jenny.
Well, you know, a lot of times women hold that anger in their
Say it.
Yeah. in their women parts, and that causes sometimes cancer.
Oh my
because-
gosh.
Because when we hold anger, what's anger? Anger's ugly. Anger's hate. And if you hold that in your body, the only thing that it can make is ugly. And so you have to release that. And for many women that I have worked on, and I don't even know what their problem is, but they're stuck there. And I'll just say, well, there's something here, and boy, the waterworks
Wow.
come out, and I'm like, shit, I shouldn't have said anything, you know. But I realized they came because they needed to be healed on that part, and you have to almost give them permission to let it go.
Right.
Don't carry it with you anymore. Once again, carrying somebody's water.
And the other chakra that women have issues with is their throat chakra, because they're silenced.
Yeah.
Society
that's
silences
interesting.
as women, like
Mhm.
you don't have an opinion, you shouldn't speak up, and so their energy gets stuck in
Right
the throat
here.
chakra.
Boom, and you can feel it like, sometimes it feels like a root. When I'm pulling it out, it feels like a root. Like one time I was like, the hell do you have in here, you know? And I kept pulling, and I realized, wow, and I would have never thought that of this person that I was working with. I never would have thought that. And when we got to it, it was such a release for her.
So I was gonna follow up with a question on how do you think your culture and spirituality has helped you heal with the traumas?
It's made us stronger women. It's allowed us to help people that can't help themselves. We're strong. Our people are strong people. Yaquis were never defeated, telling it to you. But we're strong people. We're, my native name is Sister Weeping Willow, because I'm a real big chiona. I cry for everything, right? And I thought, oh, they named me that because I was always crying. But that, and they told me, I go, did you do it because I'm always crying? She said, no. She goes, because you're like a willow. I go, what does that mean? She goes, you can bend, but you will never break. And I thought, wow. So that is my name. That was my given name, is Sister Weeping Willow. And I see that. I can see where a tree can go like this and it can go like this, but you always come back. And that's the strength that we have. And us as Latinos, we have the most beautiful culture. When we were growing up, I always thought my mom told me we were Mexican, because I knew we were Yaqui and Mexican, and I heard Mexican. And so one time my mom said something, I go, yeah, because we're Mexican. She goes, what? And I said, what? And she goes, Mexican, what's that? I go, I thought because we were Mexican and you know, and Yaqui, that was mixed. Oh, mija, it's Mexican. I go, oh. Whole time, like, you know, till I was like maybe in the 6th grade, I thought it was a Mexican. I know how stupid I am.
It makes sense.
And what about,
That's
what
what I
about you,
thought.
Cynthia? How do you think your culture and spirituality has healed you or helped you heal?
Well, I think it's had everything to do with my healing,
Yeah.
because part of my, especially the native culture and spirituality, is really having that understanding that it's really the creator and the ancestors are in control. So it helped me surrender. And so once I surrendered
Mm-hmm.
and gave up the need for control, then going with the flow, the creator and ancestors put the right people in my life. You know, it puts the healing in my life. So this had everything to do with my healing.
Do you have any advice for people that are looking to tap into their spirituality, or even just, any advice for people who have been sexually assaulted or have experienced that trauma? Just go ahead and free flow with any advice.
I think when many people are looking for something, and I think what you need to look for is not to complicate it, because life can be very complicating, is to simplify what you're looking for, because you don't have to go to Mount Shasta, you don't have to go anywhere. You are the vessel for your healing, you are the vessel for your spirituality. So it's here. Just tap into it, because we're perfect beings. We mess up a bunch of stuff, but we no matter how you came, we're perfect. Don't look, look inside. Look for the goodness. Look for the love. And if you look through eyes that way, then that's clear. It's clear. But if you you can look for the thing that you'll never find, and you just be chasing your tail. So I think that's why we say we believe in nature, because she doesn't lie.
Yeah.
So I think for me to make recommendations, first recommendation is buy our books.
Oh.
Sacred Ceremony and Rituals for Today's World, for the spiritual part, to help you develop your spiritual practice. But Yo Tambien, Stories of Healing and Hope, I actually give 5 steps of healing in that book. And as I mentioned, the first step is really, the acknowledgement. So if you've been carrying this burden around, find a safe space to be able to acknowledge it and say it, whether it be a friend, who somebody that you trust, that you could say it out loud. And once you say it, then it's like, oh, okay, that I've released it. And then take the steps. Like I said, taking the steps of forgiveness, and really, believing in yourself, because it really takes a toll on your self-esteem, your self-worth, and really, at the end of the day, we all, and Jennie talked about this earlier, we all need to focus on our individual wellness, what our wellness looks like. I always say that, like when you're in an airplane and they do the safety drill, and they say,
Right.
okay, the oxygen mask comes down, put it on yourself first, because what happens, especially Latinas, we put it on everybody else. We're caregivers, so we give so much that we don't have anything to give for ourselves. And so we have to make, if you're a man or woman, you have to make your individual wellness a priority. And so once you do that, you'll find that the Creator, God, universe, ancestors will put the right people, and take an active step. Listen to podcasts like this one.
Yeah.
Read books. Get out there, and you'll find that the information's out there. You just need to be open to your own healing.
Absolutely. Smile, because somebody's going to smile back, and they may need that. They may need that smile. So smile a lot. It's free.
Do you guys have any events or projects that you guys are working on, or anything coming up in the future?
Well,
Or where can we find you?
here? No.
You're just gonna stay here.
No. Well, this is just something. We're going to go to New Mexico again
Ooh.
in April, but that's for the grand entry, when all the Native Americans go there.
Oh,
But we're going to
nice.
go to Taos and Santa Fe, and I shouldn't be saying all this stuff, right? But we are.
Let's talk about our vacation.
Yeah.
So our vacation is, the last couple of years we've done what we call spiritual vacation.
Yes.
Mhm.
And so the Gathering of the Nations is the largest powwow in the world. And so what the grand entry is when all the dancers enter the arena. So you're gonna have over 1,000 native dancers come into the arena, and I haven't been yet, so I'm excited. And just the energy, because I watched it on YouTube.
Right.
I'm like so excited. So that's part of it. But you know, for anybody that would like to get any of our books or any of my books, they're all on Amazon.
Correct.
You can also go to my website. My website is my name, CynthiaMRuiz.com. I've had my website up for several years, so it has a lot of the stuff that I do and that I have been doing. And so, you know, we love connecting with people, and we love helping people and getting our books and starting that process. And then if they have questions, you know, reach out through my website. And we also, Yo Tambien, we have a Facebook page for that. So we just like to show up and help people in many different ways.
Yeah, we're there. If you have a question, we'll answer it. However the best we can, we'll answer it. There's no question that's a dumb
And
question.
so how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, how do we get a hold of you, Jenny?
She wants to answer all the questions.
Wait, check this out. A smoke signal.
And what you smoking?
just go to her website. She'll tell me. You know what? I'm like a dinosaur in the 21st century. So, you know, yeah. Send me a smoke signal.
You're like an entity. Like if they're lucky enough to come across you,
They can reach you.
Yeah.
They can find you somehow.
I am there, and it's just something funny. Yesterday, her and I did a couple of big favors, and I said, "Wow!" I go, "If we died today, we'd go to heaven with our boots on." Because
We got lots of good karma.
yeah, just yesterday. But anyways, I want to say thank you so much for allowing us to join you here, and this has been really fun. And more than that, you know, when I first met you, I said you need to come to our full moon ceremony. And I told Cynthia, I just met this couple, and blah, 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 you know, and I was so excited because I had this beautiful vibe from both of you, and it was just so, I was so happy. My heart was like smiling.
Okay, the truth is we're at a art opening event, and she stalked you out. Come on.
I did. I did.
And she's all happy. Yeah, I did.
I'm not gonna lie.
But you know what? And I'm so grateful that you did, because I think, you know, the world of both of you.
Yeah.
And I told you this before. I love the fact that you show up as a couple that's healthy. I'm not saying you're perfect, because there's no perfect, but you know, but it's perfect for you, and you work together as a team, and that just warms my heart, because I really find a lot of hope in the younger generations.
Absolutely.
Because you guys are more
there you are.
open. You guys know what you want, and you look at the world differently. So you give me hope.
Yeah.
Aw,
Not so
Thank you.
tainted, you know.
thank
I swear
you
to God,
guys.
yeah.
we keep it real.
Yeah. And that's
try.
what, yeah.
And that's what we try to do with this podcast. Just keep it real.
Keep it-
Like,
Even when it goes wrong.
but I want to thank you guys for being here and showing up, and we are so happy just to have you guys here. And
I want to thank you,
thank you.
because you facilitated this. This is not my podcast. I know maybe I end up talking a little bit. But I get so
I
excited.
know I have to cut him off sometimes because I'm like, no, we need to focus.
Well, we thank both of you.
Yeah, thank you so much for doing this, guys.
Okay.
And so, Jenny, can you pray us out?
Yes,
Yes.
I can. I want to say, okay, Creator, thank you so much for bringing these two lovely, lovely young people into our lives. And I hope with what we shared with them that they can take a little of that with them and plant those seeds somewhere else. And if anybody's listening and they get something out of it, thank you, Creator, for us. We're just a conduit for you. We have nothing special, but we connect people. And thank you very much. Aho, yeah.
And I do have one final thought.
Yeah.
So I brought a little gift for you who doesn't like gifts. This is what we call plant medicine that we use in ceremony. I harvest this myself. I grow it organically. So this is a blend of tobacco, sage, lavender, and rosemary. I don't grow the tobacco, zone one I don't grow, but the rest of them. And so we do use this in ceremony. So after you write your letter, burn it and throw the plant medicine into the fire to really release it.
Burn it, don't smoke it.
Let the creator do that. And so this tells you what it is, and thank you as a party gift.
Thank you.
Oh, it smells really good right now.
Right?
Yeah.
All right,
It's a fresh batch.
we'll end here. Mmm, smells so good.
It's over,
Yeah, it's over.
right? I'll be the first one to say something stupid.